My first attempt at rendering beef tallow. I gave up on the meat grinder because the fat kept getting stuck, so I just chopped it up with my knife. And then I added a bunch of water so it didn't stick and some salt to remove the impurities. Now I'm going to cook it on low until it all liquefies, and I will come back with another update. Rendering tallow part 2. I didn't wait long enough, didn't heat it up long enough, but I ended up straining it anyway after about 12 hours. Got most of the junk out of it and put it in my pans. Ended up putting it in the refrigerator to try to harden it, which was probably a mistake because the bottoms of them, which should have been liquid, ended up turning to jelly. So when I tried to remove my first cake, I dropped it and made a huge mess all over the place. But I went ahead and tried to clean all the jelly off of it anyway and chopped it up and put it back in my roasting pan. For the second cake, I cut it up inside the pan, which did make it a little easier to get it out, and I gave up the gloves because it just wasn't helping anything. Scraped off all of the gunk on the bottom of it, chopped it up a little bit more, and put it back in my roasting pan. I'm gonna render it one more time. After I melted the tallow a third time, I strained it through a flour sack and allowed it to harden again. This time I took some of the water off with a paper towel and put it back in a pot so that I could remelt to put in my jars. And that process didn't take nearly as much time as the first few times I melted it. After I washed my jars, I put them in a low temperature oven just to keep the jars warm, and then filled up the hot tallow in the warm jars, wiping the rims down with vinegar to get all the grease off. Most people don't do this next step, but since I didn't sterilize the jars initially, I went ahead and water bathed them for 30 minutes. This also ensured that all of the jars sealed. And this is what the rendered tallow looks like today. This is March 17th. I rendered this tallow in August, and I still have several of these jars left, but it is completely solid white, and it is awesome. I have cooked with it, and I've made lip balm with it, and it is good stuff.